Well, you'll be waiting a bit longer, Bruce, because the new microphone is not actually working yet. So sorry about that, and I will explain that a little bit in a minute. Now, I'm going to be doing, I'm just doing a bit of a test stream more than anything, actually. That's why I'm streaming on a Friday night UAV specialist, but I've got some stuff I need to do as well, so I thought I'd do it live and see how this all works out. And I'm assuming this is actually all up and running. I've been playing with OBS and doing some changes, so please do let me know, someone, if you can hear and see me and make sure it is working okay. I got the computer set up, so we're going to be taking a look at Mission Planner and setting up this CUAV Nora, because I'm having one or two little issues doing it and I need to diagnose it. So we're going to do that on the stream as well. Once you get over 40 euros, it's important to test your own stream regularly. Yes, it is extremely important, Bruce, to test your stream regularly. Now, the microphone, which Bruce was so much looking forward to, is not ready. It's not this. I'm not using this at the moment. This needs to move. In fact, let's do that with that. Let's get that out of the way. I'm still on the road because I haven't had the audio interface yet. I am praying it's coming tomorrow, but this is as much a test stream to test OBS is behaving, because I've completely changed the way OBS was actually handling the video and the scaling and everything like that. And it's actually, I did something about a year ago when I first set up OBS to get around a problem I was having that I couldn't be bothered to fix at the time, really, more than anything. And I've ignored it since, and I've spent some time actually dealing with it, and it's to do with the scaling of the resolutions on my PC because I use it in 4K, and I was having some issues with OBS and the base resolution, and it wouldn't play ball. No matter what I did, it wouldn't play ball, but it was also a lot of lack of understanding on my part of what I actually needed to do to put it right. So now I have. So rather than actually having the image coming out the camera at 1080p, being scaled up to 4K and scaled back down to 1080p, it is now 1080p all the way through. Now, I am hoping all this is actually behaving, and it should, hopefully, it might look a little bit better. Please do let me know. Apart from this bit, obviously, this bit is always going to look as bad as it always does. Now, talking about the new mic, Bruce, yes, it is an XLR microphone. It is here. It is out of shot. It is out of shot. If I do this, you can see it comes over. But it isn't connected yet. So you're not going to hear the mighty audio from the Rode pod mic. Where's the box? Here. So that's what I ended up going with. Putting it to one side was the Rode pod mic, and there are a few reasons for this. Video seem in sync, OBS, for me not often not. Yeah, I spent a bit of time doing that, Gary, as well, and I've downloaded an app which makes life really so much better. You could pretend if it was connected. You could pretend if it was connected. I don't do pretending, Bruce. But no, the arm is all set up. The microphone's set up. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a dynamic. So obviously I'm going to need an audio interface. I do have some concerns around the audio interface amplification level, whether I'm going to have to use a cloud lifter or a fret head, if you guys know what one of them is. The basics are, because it's a dynamic, it needs about 60, 65 dB a gain, between 50 and 60, say. And my amp will give 60, but that means you're driving the amplifier at its maximum rather than its minimum. So there's a possibility that I might need what they call like a preamplifier, but I'm going to try it first. Now, that app, Gary, I will show you this. I had three main issues with OBS when I was setting it up a couple of weeks ago. Oh yes, as you know, I know. Yes, you do, don't you, Gary? You do a lot of that stuff. You really do. And the three issues were and this is actually issues I've been facing over the last 3 months, actually. Number one was the fact I couldn't get the scaling right with the resolution. And when I did it before, it was doing some really weird stuff with the base canvas size in OBS, if you've used it, and I just couldn't get it right. So I've now resolved that. The second issue I was having was with audio sync, and I downloaded this little app, and I know everyone says clap to get your audio right, but no, there's a much better way. And there is this little app, which is free of charge. It's called Audio Clap, and it releases a tone as the screen flashes. And you can then do a recorded piece of video, put it into a video editor and check where your alignment is, and then within OBS you can adjust the delay settings on the audio to get it right. So hopefully that has sorted that out. If you have the clap, I'd suggest visiting the doctor. Yes, that would be for sure, Mark. Red of his eyes contrasts nicely with the pale white of his skin. I need a bit of colour. Is that what you're saying? I am always pale. But I'm hoping it looks a little clearer tonight, because I had this issue where I couldn't get it to look sharp. And it just wouldn't. No matter what I did, it just wouldn't look sharp. So I'm intrigued. I'm going to look at the live stream myself on this one. Not seeing all the comments. That's interesting, Gary. So let's actually have a look what my thing is showing. It shows I'm live. Oh, talking to me. Whoa, mute, go away. I'm hearing myself. Let's actually have a look how it looks for myself. You can drop LUTs into OBS. Yeah, let's have a look. That looks much better, to be fair. Still a little soft on me, but overall not too bad, considering we're streaming at 6 megabits a second as well. Just going to do that. As I said, it's more of a test stream than anything else. Yeah, hopefully it should nearly be there. Yeah, that looks fairly good. That does look fairly good. Try turning the lights off. Thank you, Bruce. So I've completely reset up OBS from scratch. Just getting my phone back to where it should be. I've completely reset it up from scratch. So I wanted to check everything was doing what it was. Sadly, the pod mic isn't up and running yet. It's actually quite a good price, to be fair. If you're looking for all of the mics, and it's very easy, the box of the mic sounds great. If you look at the Blue Yetis, and there's a lot of hype around the Blue Yetis and all of them, Rode sell this for 99 quid. And overall, it is fairly good. I've been told. Fairly good indeed. Now, obviously, you end up spending more on things like the arm and the audio interface, but it will give me a bit more options in the future anyway. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to have a look at this thing, which you can see in front of me, and that is the Bixler. Plug it. I got nothing to plug it into. I have an XLR, I got nothing. That will not go into anything I have right now, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I have nothing at all. If I'd have been able to buy the S5 like I wanted, I'd have had the XLR adapter for that, because I'd have had it with that, and I'd have been straight in and on. Quiet, so so square peg and he only has a round hole. Yes, that is the truth. So I'm having some problems setting up the CUAV Nora. Now I will be doing a review on this, and just to show you, it is this thing here. It is connected at the moment. It's buried in the bottom there, just so you can see, and I'm having some issues getting the CAN-based power module to work, and I don't know why. And I'm going to come up here, and part of my job was to test this and actually try and understand it. Now I've got it connected on the laptop, and something else I've done today, actually just put that up, hello. Something else I've done today, I finally installed Windows 10 on my MacBook Pro, so I can actually do some of the other stuff I've been waiting to do. So look, it's a Mac running Windows again, finally. It did it before until it crashed and lost absolutely everything I ever had. So I'm back up and running, but it means I can run Mission Planner, which is fantastic. So as you can see, we've got the Nora connected, but I'm not getting battery voltage at all. I'm going to get a drink as well, actually. I'm going to get myself a Guinness in a minute. I'm not getting battery voltage at all. Now, the Nora, just to go back to full screen, comes with an all-new CAN-based module. Now, this is a power module, standard power brick. I'll show you on the top. So, very similar to the other power bricks before. But this time, it's CAN-based. So, instead of using the standard input, it's using CAN bus. And I cannot get it to read at all at the moment. No matter what I do, it's not playing ball. So I need to understand why. Now, I've got it plugged in to power port A, which is a CAN bus port, which is that one down there. And it's a different connector. If I just take it out, I'll show you actually. Now, obviously, normally on a power module, you'd have the larger connector, but it is simply now this smaller CAN bus connector now. So it simply goes into there. What I will do, I think, is that control? No, command. Where's control on this keyboard because it's a Mac? Wait, let me just reboot the autopilot. Just so we can reconnect. I'll bring that up so you guys can see, and you can see there as well. Oop, box is falling over on the floor. Let's just wait for it to reboot and then we will reconnect. And it's doing really weird stuff. It really is. And I just don't know why it's not working. Now, I've got a battery connected that hasn't gone on fire yet. Okay, so we're all on. If we go into setup, mandatory hardware, and it's actually under no, it can't be daisy chained, Gary. They have 2 dedicated CAN bus power ports, and actually you raise a very interesting point on that of almost what is the point of it being CAN bus based, because if you can't daisy chain it, then why are we using dedicated ports, and what is the point of it compared to an analog sensor? Because it's a very good point that if it's daisy chainable, then I think it's possible, but weird, very weird indeed. So you got power A and power C. What is interesting though, C can stand for CAN, which is interesting, isn't it? What have it never been fan for wishing? Yeah, it's weird. So if we go into battery monitor, UAV CAN battery info, UAV CAN module. So is it really CAN? Well, I don't know. And interestingly, nowhere here does it want me to change. Just pull it into the other one, as Mark said. Let's hop across, shall we? But it's an interesting point, isn't it? Because obviously the original... it's falling over. Yes. Servo's going nuts because the autopilot's falling over. The original power modules were not daisy chainable. Okay, back in. Yeah, we didn't really have a problem with them. And if we wanted to daisy chain them, there is options out there. You've got the fantastic Mac system where you've got the hub and you can do all the stuff like that. I am just going to reboot it again to just reboot the autopilot before I go check and see what it shows, because at the end of the day, if we do a change, yeah, CAN overall has been fairly straightforward. The biggest issues with CAN has been ArduPilot itself and the way it handles CAN itself. And we'll take a look at that now, because you've got the device IDs and stuff in here too. So we should be able to see if it's being detected at all, actually. It's fairly... Number 5 on your option. Let's have a look. Right, okay, let's go back to the main screen. Interesting. Well, that was an easy fix. It's in CAN port C. So, why have we got power A and power C then? Now, I hadn't tried that till now, so that was a very easy fix. Look, it's now working. Did you read that, Mark? Because I haven't gone through the book yet. Or did you purely guess before I go looking at the manual? Because I want to understand why that's the case. It was on my list of things to do, by the way. I think it's Mark. Mark, you are... UAV Specialist, that is Mark, is it? I just want to make sure it is Mark. If it's not Mark, sorry for calling you Mark. I'm sure Specialist is Mark. Total guess. Okay. Is it you, Mark? Or I think yes, yeah, I thought it was. Sorry. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I assumed I'd go for USB-A. We need to have a look at that. Okay, so if we go into the setup, Under UAV CAN, interesting. We don't want to go in SL CAN. We want to go into hardware ID. So let's go under hardware ID. And it should appear under here somewhere. Let's have a look. I hadn't actually played with it that much. I was trying to get the A port working and understand why it wasn't. So, here's interesting as well, look. It's not showing it at all under the hardware IDs either. And I'm very much testing this because there aren't many of these controllers out there, so I'm trying to understand it enough for myself as well, so I can at least help people if they come across this issue. Now, what is interesting in this is when we look at it, if we look down, we've got all the device IDs. So we've got the internal compass, which is the SPI one. That's the internal compass in the autopilot, and that's an RM3100. We've got the compass devs ID. We've then got the compass again, which is SPI. The Baro 2. So there's 2 internal barometer sensors. And then we've got the accelerometers and gyros. But the CAN power module does not show under here. Okay, very interesting. So we've got the settings we have is UAV CAN battery info, CAN HV power module, and then we've got the current calculated. Now I haven't done on this. Now the slight frustration on this is there is very little info. CUAV Nora. And just to be clear, CUAV did send me this autopilot for free. I will say that. I did not purchase this autopilot. It was sent to me to test for free. Unfortunately, I've been a lot slower than I anticipated getting some stuff done with it. But unfortunately, I haven't been able to do anything. Right, okay, so if we look at this, normal power A and power C inputs. Quick start. 404. I'm not going to say anything on that. I'm just going to leave that right there. Autopilot wiki. Okay, there's a wiki, and the wiki is for the V5 Plus. Just going to leave that there. We have a schematic. Okay. Battery monitor. Is there a separate page for the battery monitor? There is, but you can't click it. Let me just bring up the comments on the side. And at times this is the stuff that frustrates me when it comes to some hardware. And whilst at times I have had people accuse me of being very pro one type of or manufacturer of hardware than others, but there are times where things like this are what drive me mad. Okay, so what we've got is the power input and output. And it says 2 power inputs. You know, it's showing power A and C. So what is the difference between those power inputs? Because logic would detect you're going to go to power A. The power output rails, PWM out, 36, do not power the flight controller board. Therefore, you must supply power to one of power A, power C, or USB. Okay, that's the same as the cube. Is there any more info on it on PX4? New. Okay, so no. Did you see? Obviously, there's been a couple of interesting comments, Gary, about from the guys over at PX4. I think you spotted my little thoughts on that one as I was doing it. Okay, so the X7. Let's just look at the X7. Does the X7 have the same power A and power C? Yes, it does. Okay, so let's just look at the pinouts for power A and power C. So they're both cat. Oh, nah ha 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 ha. The penny, ladies and gentlemen, and ladies is the Bruce, has dropped. The penny has landed. Yeah, it does seem like it, doesn't it, Gary? It seems like things have begun to get noticed, let's just say. And, you know, my post on it was 100% truthful, as how I feel. And I think there could be some very interesting conversations going on in that background at the moment. There really could. Okay, let's look at where the issue was. It's not power A and power C, it's power analog and power CAN. And that is what it is. Now, when you look at the CUAV page for the Nora, there's no pinout for these connectors. However, if we go to the page for the X7, now the X7 is basically the Nora. There are some changes, but the Nora basically some sense changes. Yes, you were, Gary. You were there much earlier than I was watching in the background at that point. That's before I got as vocal as I am these days. And what you've got now is, if we look here, power A and power C. And if we actually look at the pinouts for it, we then, can I zoom? We then suddenly realize that the power C port is ground, CAN low, CAN high, 5 volt, 5 volt. And then the power A port is ground, voltage, current, 5 volt in. So what they have done, and this is quite annoying, if I'm being honest, and I'll explain why now. Let me get something. Sorry, I'm in me skivvies. Okay. So, CUAV version 5 Plus. Cube black. Same carrier board as all of the other cubes out there. The version 5 can basically use exactly the same power module as the cube. It's the same connector. So if I unplug it off there, pop it out, it is the same connector, the same pinout, the same wiring. Let me just put it in so it goes in the right way. Right position. Can't actually get it in. Is it the same actually? No, it isn't. No, it isn't. I thought it was. See, we're both learning. Right, okay. So, CUAV have their own unique power connector on the V5 Plus, not the same as any of the other Pixel modules. They now have a new connector on this. My assumption, mistakenly, was that they'd got rid of the analog power module input and you had CAN A and CAN C, and I never really clicked why it didn't say A and B or 1 and 2. But what they have done instead is change the connector, and it's CAN analog and digital, basically. And you can't use the power module from this one over here if you wanted to use analog. Now, does that mean in this batch of cables that they came with it, that they've chucked in a conversion cable? Let's have a look. No, 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 and no. So what they've done is put a CAN analog and CAN digital That explains why I couldn't get it to work. Now, going on to Mission Planner. Ta-da! That it does. Now, to be fair to them, it does come with the CAN-based module in the box. But I do think it is a fair question to add, why have a CAN module over an analog module when they're not daisy chainable so far that I've seen? I do wonder what the benefit of it is, because the analog method is fairly straightforward and stable. I've never had issues with it at all. No problems whatsoever. You know, if we go over to there, you can see we're finally getting 15.8 volts. We're getting the current draw. So why do we not get... I'm going to put myself up as well. Why don't we just either stay with analog or have a daisy chainable digital? Now, as I said, it is interesting that it isn't available to show. Better connector. Yeah, I wouldn't even agree with that. I'd say it's not. Harder IDs, and it isn't even showing under here. Now, I wonder if it will come up under the CAN reboot required after setting. Please reboot. Reboot. And interestingly, it's not a standard CAN connector. Therefore, it's not compatible with any other CAN connector on there. So I don't think you're even going to see it on SL CAN either. I just don't think we're going to see it at all. No. No, nothing's showing up. Where's the CAN ports on these? Can I actually get to it? It's not CAN then. Well, it's an interesting point. It really is, Gary. Now, for instance, if I do something sacrilegious, if we plug in a here 3 into it from Philip, into, which one's 2? CAN 1 at the top. Yep. I'm going to plug this in one moment. My concern is I'll plug this in, I won't get it out. That's going to be my concern. Now, I don't actually have a GPS for this unit, so I am going to be... Right. So, I've plugged in a here 3. Probably, let's be honest, I'm going to have to reboot. If we reboot, we'll then see it all pop up as it should. Now, interestingly, out the box then, all the CAN ports must be enabled, because as you can see, I've got the LED flashing as well on the GPS, and normally you'd have to configure that separately. That's normally a totally separate configuration, that one. Well, that's part of the reason I'm doing it, Bruce, funny enough, because I've not... Oh, why is it not showing? What's it doing? Let's do a proper reboot, shall we? Let's do a power reboot. Yes, it's just the autopilot and power module. Let's just wait for this. We'll wait to see if the here 3 kicks in. Now, I actually have a video on the here 3 coming out this week. Also has a little bit of boot time, I've noticed, this autopilot. That's interesting. What's it doing now? It's a bit weird. Let's just wait to see what it does. Is it showing as connected? Connection failed. Ooh. And I don't know if you guys can see, it's flashing its nuts off. You see it in the side of the case there. Bit weird. Just going to unplug the GPS and give it one more shot. Now, I have had issues now and again where some of these autopilots end up in bootloader mode when they shouldn't. Yeah, it certainly looks like it is in bootloader mode. Okay, what's going on here? Flash plane official. Yes. Downloaded from the internet. Let's see what happens. Oh, okay. We'll reflash then, shall we? Bit weird. Had that before though. I have had this happen. It's actually it's actually an issue within Mission Planner. Has a habit of forcing the autopilot into bootloader mode on startup, and they still haven't been able to tie it down. I've seen it 4 or 5 times now, and it's an issue where you reboot the autopilot and it does weird stuff. It really does. Okay, we'll just let it reboot. And interestingly, that should have been the same firmware because I just installed plain latest. It's a bit weird that it okay, so what we'll actually be doing now is configuring from scratch, which will be quite interesting. So let's plug the GPS back in. I had already undone in Mark, so it's a weird thing in Mission Planner. It's interesting. Let's just give it a second to see if it comes out of that bootloader mode. There should be nothing specific about those CAN ports in my head, unless I'm missing something. That's very interesting. She's just flashing her nuts off again. And it's not being detected. Okay. I think we have to choose something interesting. Well, it's interesting it's doing it, Gary, when it shouldn't be. Now, it is doing it again. Now, what should happen now is if I try to install plane again, it should whinge at me and say, no need to. There we go. Thank you. It'll be fine now. It's doing the same issue I have seen, and it's Mission Planner again. It's still doing it. That's interesting. Right, let's try one more time. Let's go back to the GPS. Oh, I wish I'd have put this in a bit of an easier place in the autopilot. Spring gales here. It's not very nice here either. It's very rough. Very rough. Okay, so let's connect. That's better. And you get this. What happens is you go into Mission Planner, you try to connect, and it forces the autopilot into bootloader mode. And still don't really know the reason why it happens. Now, what I haven't done, this is quite an early version of the autopilot, so I might have to try updating the bootloader. I haven't actually done that yet. Okay, so if we now look, we've got no battery voltage shown because it's reset all the configuration. So if we go back under configure, setup, mandatory hardware, additional hardware. Oh, it won't actually. There's no battery plugged in. We should check that again, shall we? Yeah, sorry, that was me. Right, so SL CAN. So if we now go under the CAN list, and we go under hardware IDs, we should now see the GPS listed. Or not. So I wonder if the I do wonder if the CAN ports are turned on, although I did plug it in after. Just remember that. I'll reboot, and if it doesn't show, then I'll go and have a look at the CAN settings because I did plug it in afterwards, and it might dump itself into that bootloader mode again, but we're going to have to see. Hopefully it won't. It's interesting. It's actually rebooting. You know when I'm going Control F? Reboot Pixhawk. Yes. Oh, that's interesting. The reboot command isn't working. I know, Gary, you're going to tell me that isn't interesting, but it is. Okay. Now, is it going to do the... I'm stuck in bootloader mode again? Probably. Yes, it is. So to get out of that, we're going to go into install firmware, install plain. If you ever get this, this is the solution. You tell it to install the same firmware you've already got. It'll then whinge at you that the firmware is already installed. You'll see the light stop flashing on the autopilot, and then you will get access. What I think I will do is update the bootloader as well, because this is an early unit. Yeah, I've seen it. It's a weird one. It does happen now and again. You can brick your board. What's the worst thing? Yes. Let's give it a try. Okay, that was very quick. Can be a pain in the ass. I will be honest. Up to now, normally it's been fine. Okay, so let's now have a look. Hardware IDs. So CAN is not showing under the hardware ID list at the moment. So what we will need to do is let's go into config. Let's go into the full parameter tree. Yes, and search for CAN underscore. And we need to look for the CAN P1 driver and P2 driver. So the P1 driver is turned on. And am I in CAN 1? I am. So in theory, that port should be working. What I'm going to do is turn the P2 driver on as well. Which is for port 2, so port 1, port 2. That's what the CAN P1 driver is. Now, I haven't changed the GPS settings, so at the moment it still won't show a GPS here, because you need to tell the GPS that it's actually using a CAN-based GPS, so I do need to do that. What is interesting though is the LEDs are working, so I know that it is picking up, but... if we go under setup, config, loading, it probably now wants a reboot. So we're going to reboot again. Let's see if that bootloader update did end then. Now we've gone from flashing lights to nothing. Okay, interesting. Yes, Gary, I know it's not for you. That's interesting. Keep saying that. It's not going to be smoke, but it could be brick, because we did update the bootloader. And whilst updating the bootloader is dangerous, if it has failed, it's not good on their part. Let me put it that way. Yeah, I might have one, Mark. Let's have a look. Okay, install firmware. Official. Downloaded from internet. Let's see if it comes up under the DFU list. No need to upload, it's already on the board. So, it's picking up. Oh, it's woke up now. Good afternoon. Welcome to work. At times, some of these autopilots can be very awkward. Now, if I still don't get this working in a second, we're going to plug it into a cube, and I'm going to show you a cube working with CAN. Can't wait till the live shows. Right, let's just wait for it again and see if it kicks in. Oh, it's got a new behavior now. So its new behavior is it pretends you can't see it. methinks there is some interesting things with this board in the current firmware support. So GPS is kicking in. Yes, Farnborough, that would be awesome, Gary. Farnborough 2020 would be awesome. Now, I should do some shilling, as there are 10 people watching. Hello, 10 people. Thank you for joining me on this little bit of madness. I'm just messing around. If you're new here, I'm messing around on an autopilot. We've got it up and running. Okay, so let's go to mandatory hardware ID. Now the can, hey, right, here we go. We are now detected. Now what is interesting is I've had to turn on the CAN 2 port for that to show. So now you can see that, oh, you are kidding me, is my computer crashed? No, it hasn't. Sensor ID, UAV CAN. So it's picking up the compass. So if I now go under the compass settings, yay, you can see the CAN compass is now there. So we can then actually move that up. And this is the new compass ordering system within ArduPilot. And you can see now that you see it under the hardware IDs. No, I don't want that. So you can now see that it shows us all of the sensors in the autopilot. And this is actually very good because what we've got here is we've got compass dev on SPI bus. Which is the, it's funny because I did a video on this, Gary, about 6 months ago on the pre-one. They've just added it now, have they? So the SPI is internal. We've then got all of these unknowns, which is just showing other info. Then we've got compass, priority ID, UAV CAN. We've then got all of the other sensors as well. So they're all showing up, and then we've got new compass ordering software up here, which is much better, much improved, massively more simple. Now, interestingly, the LEDs are working on this firmware out the box. So, no, I don't want to, it always asks you to reboot when you are doing compass work. Yes, don't show me again, no. So what we also want to check is NTF_LED_types. And that is the param for what LEDs are enabled. So this firmware has UAV CAN on the standard. The CUAV firmware does not. And then if we search for GPS_types, or type actually, I think it is. GPS_type. It's currently set to auto. For this, for the GPS to actually work, you want to set it to number 9, which is UAV CAN. So if we select number 9, hit enter, hit write params. And then you will see that it is showing up there. So GPS is now working. Now we should be able to go under optional hardware, and if we actually go under UAV CAN and click SL CAN, we can now see the SL CAN info for the Here 3 GPS. So we've now got all of the info and the settings available for it as well. So we've got the operation, the firmware version, the updates, the parameters, and they've now adjusted this so all of the parameters show at the bottom here too. Now, let's just have a look. Which is the one for the LED? Is there a load? Let's have a look. Click on parameters, get in params. Okay, so we've got LED mode, and we can turn on LED strobe on this as well. Now, this is quite a cool thing. Now, at the moment, strobe is turned off. But what we can do is if we write strobe to 1, write the param, yes. We've now turned on the strobe function within the Here 3 as well. And this is available on the Here 2. So you can do it on the Here 2 and the Here 3. So as well as having the LEDs, you can turn on the strobe function for your aircraft for safety purposes at night. Now, one thing I would love to see the guys at ArduPilot do on this is make this a configurable option on a switch on your remote controller. This should be a nice, easy option that you can flick it, it writes the param to turn it on, and you can flick it and it writes the param to turn it off. Because it'd be a very handy thing to be able to manually turn on and off via the remote controller for nighttime flight. but you can. Yep, you can turn on. If I go full screen, you can see it properly there. It's very cool. Very nice little feature, that one. And we can do some other stuff as well. So we can turn that off. Write that back to 0. Oh, there's a separate pram for strobe, is there, Gary, within ArdraPilot. We've then got LED mode. So we've got LED mode 2 as well. We can wipe the prams on that one. Are you sure? Yes. You can put it in demo mode, so it just shows the 2 LEDs on solid all of the time. Or we can actually turn the LEDs off. There was a 3 on one of them as well, which used to do some cool stuff. No, it's not working anymore. We can do 0. I wasn't sure if there was one in ArdraPilot, because at the end of the day, ArdraPilot controls the LEDs, so it would make sense. Sorry, I've lost you. It would make sense you could do something with the LEDs, and you can change it to 0 as well to turn the LED modes off. We're going to write it back to 1, so we have that up and running. Hello, Dave. How are you? Hope you are well. I'm just doing a bit of a test stream, Dave, to see how everything is looking. Please, Dale, tell me. We don't have the new audio up and running at the moment, so there's no new audio yet. No lightsaber mode, unfortunately, Gary. So that's the adjustments for the can. So you can use a Here 3 with the CUAV Nora as well. That is worth taking into account. So that is all up and running now. We have resolved my issues with that. So let me just do that. There is a reason I'm going a bit lower, because yeah. We've got no battery voltage because it's not plugged in. Wakey, wakey. It's interesting. I've lost battery voltage now, have I? You can set the blink rate. Yeah, you. That's interesting. We've now lost the battery voltage. Come back. You. No, 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 no. I don't want that. Go away. Oh, no. Right there. Ah, yes, it's disconnected. That's why, because I'm in UAV CAN. Something to be aware of is when you go into UAV CAN, you lose the connection to the autopilot. So that is worth taking into account. Ta-da! Back in. There we go. We got all the voltages and everything. And you can see I've got the altitude angel data showing up as well. Now, I haven't configured this yet. But yeah, cool. Okay. Helps if I show you what I'm looking at on screen, doesn't it? So yeah, all looking good. We've got the GPS 3D fix, we've got the battery voltage, we've got the current mounting. Yeah, that's all good. And we're getting data from Altitude Angel. You can see that his tail is going, you can't see his tail's going nuts. It's twitching away, and we've got the Here 3 connected as well. So the crux of this is that on the Nora and the X7, that the can is only one side and it's analog voltage on another. Now, I tell you what would be interesting, and this would be interesting, is if you look at the pinouts. So the pinout for this new CAN cable basically has an extra ground and an extra 5 volt. That's what they basically have. I do wonder is if we put it into a standard CAN connector, how it would behave. Would it still get detected? I wonder. Very interesting. Talking about the CAN, I'm going to lose the power. I do wonder what the benefits are of the CAN-based power module, if I'm honest, at this stage. You know, just to show you it at the top here. So it's no smaller. If anything, it's a tad bigger than the standard power modules. it's got about the same number of wires. I do wonder what the benefit is. That technically, I'm guessing there is no reason you can't daisy chain them if there was independent hardware IDs. But if all of the CAN modules have the same ID, then what's the point? Now, there is 2 connectors on this module. You've got one on that side, which is the main one, and then you've got one here. And it is a TXRX, unless that's where you would daisy chain the modules there. If we go on to CUAV's website, power module. So they had this unit, which is their CAN PMU, which was their high power one, and this one was designed to be CUAV. Right, so this is the one we've got here. Does it say use USB or digital connection to the ground station? Okay, initial setup, battery detector. Okay, so here is the actual settings for it, finally. So, what they are saying is this. Use USB or digital connection to ground station. Initial setup, optional hard drive, battery detector. Select monitor type 4. Sensor 0. APM version 4. Fill in the divider ratio 18. Amperes per volt 24. Okay, so that is more info than we've currently had. And then there's a different. Actually, is that the HV one or the power module? No, that's the HV. Sorry, that's not the CAN one. So it's not listed at all. That's the CAN big one there. That is, and that's the high precision one. But this isn't the same module. Yeah, see, that's very different. Very different indeed. And that's a standard CAN cable. Yes, so I have a module I have no information on, which is a bit strange. Oh, is it really poor when I tune away? That might be that. Is it that? Am I on the right microphone? Let's have a look. Last audio. Yeah, that might have been me. It should be, because I'm on the lav, so it should be okay. How is it now? Is it any different now when I tune that way? It should be fine. Sorry, Gary. Should be exactly the same because I'm using the lav mic, which is weird. Just want to make sure that is. Yeah, I am on the lav, aren't I? Yeah. Yeah, should be working. Let me just unplug a second. Take it in. Sorry about that. That would have made a bit of a noise. I'm wondering if it was hitting me. Weird. Okay. Hopefully it won't be too long before this is working. But it's not going to help me over there. But this is for other things, other plans. Good evening, Phil. How are you doing? Yeah, so that is that for that. So we've solved the problem. We've solved issue number 1, is that the CAN power module has to go into the C port, which stands for CAN, which is quite logical, if I'm honest. There is no instructions for the CAN module, so I understand things a bit more. It is a different setup. Maybe you're covering it. It is very possible, Gary, It is very possible. It is frustrating that it is a different connector again, and the lack of instructions on these things don't make it easy, you know. But that is the overall setup working. Once you've done CAN once or twice, overall it's not too bad, but it isn't out the box ready for the most part, especially in Ardra Pilot. It really isn't. They've got a bit more work they need to do on getting the can going. It's just not easy. Now, the autopilot is buried in there. It's not tidy yet. It's all got to be buried in. This isn't going to be light neither. You know, this is going to be quite heavy. It's jammed in the bottom there. This is the aircraft I've rebuilt a number of times because I've crashed it very badly more than once. You can see that the whole area in there has had to be rebuilt, reshaped. This nose I completely destroyed at one point, ripped it off. It's got quite an interesting shape to it on the bottom now. Not sure it's meant to look like that. But that's the shape of the nose on her now. She's seen better days, let's just say. But it's been rebuilt, re-strengthened. There's a massive new piece of polystyrene in the bottom to help hold it all in place. So yeah, hopefully I'm going to get it in the air this week, all being well. That's the plan. So overall, this lot seems to be working okay. Let me just have a look at the stream. If you've got any questions, guys, while I'm doing this, please do let me know. As I said, this isn't really a proper stream. It's just a random live. And I'm going to be doing a lot more of the random lives. Let me actually get it up to the current moment. See how it looks. Steam. Yeah, well, I used Steam to get it that shape. You want to have seen it before. It was a very hard hit. Let's just say. It was a very hard hit. Just looking at the stream on my phone to see how it looks. It still looks a little soft, which is interesting. Even I look still quite soft. And if I look at it compared to the monitor, because I've got a monitor here you guys can't see. Oh my God, it wasn't warm yesterday, Davey. It was not warm. But yeah, I've got a monitor here you guys can't see. So I can see the sharpness coming directly from the camera. It's interesting. I don't know if it's the bitrate in OBS. Have fun, Bruce. I don't know if it is the bitrate in OBS. The colours definitely seem a bit different as well. Everything's looking a bit redder. There's some stuff I want to do on the lighting. Is all the lighting on, actually? Oh, no, that's not on. That's not helping. That might be. It's not going to make any difference, really, this. That just lightens up the back a tad. That's all that one does. You'll see the posters just get a bit more light on them. So the depth of field on this camera isn't very good. This lens especially. If I'm looking at my monitor, so it goes out of focus there. But yeah, we should be in focus. It's looking nice and clear on the 8M because obviously I'm looking at it on the 8M. Let's look at the overhead and see how the overhead looks. Now, the mic isn't, as I said, I'm still using the other one. I'll share it with you guys because you're all friends. I've got a little bit of a plan I want to do as well. As some of you would have noticed, I've been spending a little bit of money, and there is a reason for it. I've been saving it, frankly. I've been burning up some of my DJI credit, which I've held for a very, very long time. And I've been investing in some new equipment, which is the 8M, the new microphone. I just want things to be a little more tidy. Now, the channel is going to change a tad, and I don't mean for the worse. I've just noticed something. 1 second. There's a reason as well things aren't right. I got one of my lights off. I turned it to look at the camera earlier, and I turned it away from me. I should be a bit brighter now. Sorry about that. I've just realised. I've got a key light here and a key light here, and that light I turned away from me. Well, I turned it away because I was doing some work on the camera, and I meant to turn it back. So you can see it now, it's back. That probably should be a bit clearer. So with regards to the channel, I've been trying to tidy things up a bit. You know, we've got 14,000 subs, which is fantastic. Obviously, we're on a start of a scratch on this one here. Let me just get this off the phone because I'm looking at myself and that's quite distracting. Let me bring my Streamlabs app back up. And I've just been investing in some gear a little bit, and I wanted to tidy things up. You know, camera-wise, I'm pretty much using all the same cameras I have before, but I have moved things around. I was traditionally always using the GH5 for my filming camera, and then I was using my Sony, this camera here, which is the a6400 for live streaming, on the desk back there, and then I bought the G9 to be doing other stuff. Now, I've actually changed things around. This is the Sony, and I'm now using the Sony for this as my live streaming and recording camera, because I'm no longer recording in body. I'm now recording straight into OBS, and I spent 2 or 3 days playing with the settings to get it right. So whereas before, when I was doing videos like this, you know, content videos, I'd be sitting here going, hi, you know, this is a battery, this is what you do with it. It does this, pointing at that. I then fuck it up, frankly, because I fuck things up so much. Unbelievable amounts up. You wouldn't believe. For me to do a very simple video can take 20, 30 takes because I am shit at it, to be blunt. And I decided to move things around. So now I'm using the Sony here. We've got the Panasonic above, and then the G9 is going to be used wherever else I want it. And the idea is I'm now recording directly into OBS, so I can now control it from my phone, do my hurrah, 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 and then simply do this, drag it into my editing software, which is now Premiere Pro, and edit it directly. And I'm doing it without touching an SD card. And whilst there is a performance price to pay for doing that, in the sense of you're not getting the video quality you would get directly from card footage, so there will be no 4K, it's going to be 1080p 60. What you do get is, for me, 10 times easier workflow. Now, the overall goal is I'm building up equipment to get myself in the position where I can do it slightly different again, and I'll mention that in a minute. But as you guys have seen, I have been spending a little money, and the only reason I've been able to do that has been from the support of you guys over the years. You know, you guys have supported the channel massively through watching the ads at the start, and, you know, supporting the channel through the affiliate links. And I don't squander a penny of it. I try to buy stuff which is interesting, and it has been a very lapse period. You know, there's been 3 products I've been wanting to get my hands on. Number 1 has been whatever DJI released next as the main aircraft, whether that be Inspire 3, something like that. That hasn't happened. I've been desperate to get my hands on a RoboMaster EP, just can't get one at all. And there is something else which I can't talk about because I'm under NDA, but the reality is I haven't been spending any money, and it's got to the stage where I've decided to put some of that saved money into equipment, because I needed to, you know, we're at 40,000 subs, but some of my videos are shocking. Most of my content is shocking. It's all crap, but you know, from how it looks, but I've wanted to tidy things up. So for me, the goal over the last few months has been, okay, slowly purchase some new equipment. I've been buying new lenses for the cameras. I recently bought the A10, which is, I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's going to allow me to do things a bit differently rather than doing, you know, camera there, filming, stopping that, move the camera and film that, then take that off and move the camera and film that. When I am doing reviews, and I'm going to be doing a lot less general reviews, I will be honest, I'm not going to be reviewing general products so much. I'm moving away from it. It's an area I moved the channel more towards the middle ground, and it was a bit of a mistake. It wasn't, but it was. But I'm going to be doing reviews on what you know, the stuff the channel was built on is probably the right term to use. So I'm going to be doing more of that, but it now allows me to go, okay, we're looking at this battery, and as you can see, we've got the ROHS sticker. It's CE marked. It's a LiPo, which means you can't put it in the bin. Now, this kind of battery is able to be used in an aircraft like this. You know, it allows me to have a workflow that I can just do it like that with rather than do multiple edits. I'll answer that in a minute, Mr. I can't remember your last name. It's your birthday as well. Happy birthday, Gary. I've just remembered. Happy birthday. I've just remembered it's your birthday. It's Gary's birthday, everyone. Wish him a happy birthday. We'll deal with that comment in a minute. So it's going to make my life a lot easier, and I can do the computer bit, and I can do a fourth camera when I get one. Well, I got the third camera, but it's not connected. So I've done that. I bought the A10. I want to be doing this, and there's a reason I've bought this. It's not just for doing these kind of videos. There is actually a very good reason for it, which I will talk about in a minute. And I'm just trying to tidy things up easier, but make my life easier on making content which is simple, open, honest, and hopefully provide people with info. Now, Gary has said, I think setting a border pilot is required. You know, I always do the content I enjoy doing, which is that stuff, and I'm going to continue to do it. I will still be reviewing products, but some of the stuff, you know, I get sent some interest. I've taken on stuff I like to use, and you know, there's nothing wrong in doing that. Like, I'm looking for a box, I am. It's disappeared. A set of headphones, I haven't reviewed them yet, but they're fantastic, but I use them. So, nicely played, Mark. That comment deserves to be on screen. 90th birthday. So the idea is I've been buying bits of equipment to set it up, you know, and everything I've been getting, I've been putting back in to the channel, and that is where I'm at now if I press the right button. So we've done the A10, we've got that. I bought Resolve recently as well. We've got the new microphone, we've got some new gear, and the reason for a lot of this is to tidy it up, but I'm also going to be doing two things. On a Friday night, I am going to be doing a short video on the main channel, which is this week's news. And it is just simply a quick update around what I've seen this week. 10 to 15 minutes is the goal, max. Probably under 10. And just to give you guys an idea, whereas we go through it on Gary's channel in depth where we talk about the news, this is simply going to be not like what Gary's doing in the afternoon, because Gary concentrates a lot more on the industry side of it. I'm going to be just giving you news on the stuff which I relate to on the channel. So if I would have done this week's, it would have been a very quick piece on Eagle Tree, on the Vector, because I've got them and I think they're interesting. I would have done a very quick set piece on the Mavic Air 2, having its support now for the smart controller. I'd have done a quick piece on the Amazon drone, and a quick piece on, there was one other thing as well. Ardra Pilot, the update 4.04 and 4.06 plane and copter. And the goal is to do a very quick short news piece on the main channel, but that is also going to be going out as a podcast on, hopefully, Apple, Amazon, Spotify. That is the plan. So I'm going to film it, but then upload it also as a podcast. And the idea is to have a very short and quick, and just like Gary's days. Now, Gary's ones are absolutely, I love it. Gary's ones in the afternoon, I try to catch them every day. They're short, they're on point, they're what you need. For me, I'm not trying to copy that or copy anyone else. What I want to do is just update people on the news around the stuff I talk about on the channel. Then, on a Sunday night, I'll discuss those topics and do the other stuff as we do already. Because on a Sunday night, we already do that. On a Sunday night, we do the talking about, right, this is the news. I've been doing that already, but it's part of that larger live stream. So what I'm going to do is, Friday, the plan for me is on a Friday evening to film a very quick this week's news update on the main channel, which will also go out on the podcast. Then Sunday night live stream. as it's been, exactly the same, no changes. We will again cover those subjects. I'll go into them in a bit more depth, the ones I enjoy and the ones I want to talk about. And then, whilst he still has me, I am extremely lucky to be involved in Gary's one on a Tuesday, where we chew through all of this stuff and you get 5 people's opinions on it. And you know what they say, opinions are like arseholes, everyone's got one. And for me, it's about getting back to what I always did. So the channel is going to shift. It's going to have 3 ways. Way number 1 is going to be the Ardra Pilot stuff. I'm going to be concentrating a lot on the Ardra Pilot as well. I'm going to continue it. And they're not videos about views. They're not videos about getting thousands of subs, but they are videos that no one else is doing. And that is something I've started. I started it years ago. I was one of the first to do a review on the CUAV Autopilot. No one else had done it. And I'm going to be pushing videos, and I'm going to be talking about PX4. Why don't we put it all in one place? So between us all, we cover the week. Why don't we put it all in one place? Well, I think we covered different elements of it, Gary, and that's the interesting thing, isn't it? Because, you know, I don't tend to cover industry in the sense of drone. I got dragged into the drone regulation stuff, and some of those videos have had fantastic views, but I generally have tried not to get too buried into it on my channel. You know, for me, it's about the DJI news, because there's always something around that, and it is an area I still have a lot of expertise in, and I'm going to address Gary's scandalous accusations further up. Let me just find the scandalous accusation. I am no longer a DJI fanboy. I still love DJI equipment. There's nothing to talk about right now. You know, I try to be balanced on everything from a company point of view. I don't care where it's made. I don't give a toss from that point of view. What I care about is, does it work for the consumer? Is it good enough? Does it do what you want it to do? None of them are perfect. Over all of the years, DJI have been very good to me in the beta testing and all of that stuff. That is a different world now. I'm not doing that beta testing anymore. No one is. You know, they don't have those people. There isn't the product launches you had before. You know, when we were doing the good old days, there was a product launch every 3 to 4 months at one point. So there was always some data to churn over. But now, you know, probably should have been though. It's hard now, and you're seeing it actually, and Gary will know what I mean by this. There's very little. They're all fighting over news. I had a go at Paul. I didn't mean to, and I will say that, Paul, but I had a bit of a pop at Paul from Drone U. He put a post on Facebook about DJI's next drone. Yeah, right, okay. DJI's next drone will... It was a factual post. The wording of the post was factual. So the wording of the link was DJI to release Mavic Mini 2, Osmo Pocket 2, and this and this. And then when you clicked on the article and went to Drone U's website, it said, rumours say. And I had a bit of a pop at Paul on his own group on Facebook, and I just said, it's clickbait. Because if the title had said, rumours say DJI is going to do this, that's fine. I got no issues with that. But what really annoys me is when people put a video out with basically the same retuned info, but trying to state it as facts. You know, there are a few drone channels that that's what they live off, is that info, and that's their bag. It works for them. That's fantastic. That's generally not what I do. You know, if there's a rumor, I might talk about it on a live stream, or I might talk about it on a video, but I don't run out and put a video out there specifically on it. You know, new DJI rumors. I don't do that content, and I'm not against anyone who does, but that's not the content I do. What I would, you know, if DJI put a firmware update out, I normally talk about it. If DJI put out, you know, if there's something coming that we know about, I normally talk about it. You know, I had a video sitting here for a month, which I haven't been able to do because things were delayed. But I just don't get involved in that. And I suppose my point is, for me, my goal is going to be doing 3 elements of content. The first element is going to be Ardra and PX4 and this stuff, because I've been extremely lucky to got to know Philip, Gary, and these are all Ardra guys. Louis, don't forget the great Louis. I don't particularly know the other guys, but it's an amazing community. I've been extremely lucky to have been treated the way I have been, just for making a bit of content and trying to be as open as honest. And I'm a big fan of Ardra and its systems, and it deserves more people pushing the information out there, and I'm going to be one of the ones doing it. Further to that, I will still be doing all the DJI stuff, and then I want to do a bit more around some very short and sharp videos on like news, just, you know, this, and this, and really it's just for my subscribers. You know, it's not necessarily about stealing subscribers from anywhere else. It does seem to be the theme right now, and it's interesting. You know, Gary set the trend on this many months ago, years ago Gary did this. You know, Gary set the trend on what is the news, the drone news. Gary started this. Gary's been doing it a very long time. You've got Gigsvana has done a different show. He's got a new one coming up in the middle of the day, is Sean. Mr. MPW has got a new show coming up from Monday, I believe. Not sure. I think that's going to be a bit more tech-based. So everyone's doing new things right now, and it's interesting. Gary's got his afternoon one, and I think, you know, the day Gary did it, I was there. I tried to make sure I watched them. I got the reminder set on my phone every day. It's fantastic to get the industry drone news there and then. And I think for me, the little bit of a news one is very much just about updating you guys. You know, DJI have put out new firmware for the Mavic Air. What I would normally do is, if let's say today, well, the new firmware update for the Inspire 2 is a classic example. I put a video out on that. And let's just have a look. Well, what did it do? I don't remember. I can't remember how many views it had. YouTube. Let's just have a look. DJI Inspire 2 firmware. I would think I would come up in the rankings on this. There you go. That's the 3 months ago one. And that's the new one there. So it's got 900 views, 1,000 views on each video. Fairly low numbers, but to be fair, it's a niche product overall. Okay, so and I rank well for those content as well. You know, just to show that I do rank very well for that content. So my goal is to have 2 elements to that: is do a quick news, put it out on the channel, and then have maybe a dedicated video behind that going through it further. And that's what the goal is about on that one. So it's not about taking things from anyone else. It's not about copying other people. It's about putting in place, there's little things I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I just haven't been able to do it. And I don't know how the whole Spotify podcast thing is. I'm way too late to the party on this. There's no, you know, there's thousands of drone podcasts. What I'm going to do, different to everyone else's though, is do what I do here, but shorter. This is the news, this is the info. If you're interested in more, come and see me on YouTube. And that's what the plan is for that. So, whilst that should have been something very easy, those of you who managed to stay with me on it, that is what the goal is. So, there's going to be less random reviews. The Mads tech element, we'll still be looking at tech, and I got a lot of stuff to do on the bench, the multimeter, the electronics. I wanted to keep up with the electronics. Yeah, if you chase rankings, you'll never be happy. That's the reality of it. You know, if you chase a ranking, you will never be happy. You'll never be satisfied. I'm extremely lucky to get the people to do it, and it's quite nice. You know, starting the new channel is quite nice because I start from scratch with people who wanted to come and see the content first of all. You know, the views on the live videos is much lower over here, even compared to the other channel. You know, when I did a weekly live stream, it was all the same people, you guys involved, which is fantastic. but it would still then get a couple of hundred views over the week. What I found now with the live streams on the new channel is it doesn't get them, but that will come. That will build up with time. And, you know, this channel allows me to do a little bit more loose talking. You know, I've sworn a few times. I swear a lot. In my real life, I swear like a trooper. But I try to keep my main channel clean. Whereas this one, I can be a bit more loose. You know, I can say fuck if I want to, you know. So that's the plan with it. So I hope that makes sense. That wasn't meant to turn into a giant rant, but it did. Just looking at the comments, let's have a look what Gary said. Show you guys the comments. Why is it we're suddenly doing more videos, Mark? Yeah. This means I need to get out more. I hate clickbait. I can unpack things better than you. I'm not sure. I can talk crap, Gary, is the term I would use. Is probably... I'm not always sure what I say makes sense either. It's all very well me saying I'm unpacking it, but sometimes I go on one tangent and then I'm at the end of the road and I'm thinking, this road's got a dead end. Where am I going? I need to come back around here somewhere. But yeah, thank you, Mark. It sounds a good plan. Yeah, the plan has always been... The podcast plan is not new. I thought about this 12 months ago, but I am extremely slow at doing things. Put it up. I am extremely slow at doing things. And I think the podcast is interesting. I think Gary is, I don't know, Gary, have you thought about uploading the weekly to a podcast? Or your daily news to a podcast as well? Because I think it could be good. It could be very good, especially your daily. I think there are people who'd be very interested in a daily news podcast. The numbers on Spotify, Apple, they're huge. They are, you know, it's different league. It really is. It's weird. I think in some ways for me, it's also about not relying on this platform. And, you know, there was never a plan with any of this. There was never a goal to get 10,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers. If I go back to my first video was about giving people information they couldn't get anywhere else. And I would like to think, for the most part, we've done that over the last 12 months. There are times where I haven't, in the sense of the standard reviews. Yeah, Patrick has his. Yeah, I do know Patrick's. I do listen to Patrick's as well. Less these days. Something that, as a result of COVID, I haven't been traveling, so I've not been listening to the podcasts. I used to listen to them all. And for me, it's never been a goal of becoming some YouTuber or becoming a superstar or doing this or that. The goal was to put information out there, and that's what I want to get back to doing better. And all of this will allow me to do that. And look, you don't need equipment to make good content. You know, good and engaging content comes from being interesting to people, not something I'm not sure I succeed at. But that's, you know, the cameras don't help that. The cameras make my life a little bit better, and the equipment makes me feel like I'm producing something a little bit better. You know, many times I am producing a half an hour television program. That's how it feels. When you are putting some of my big videos together, Facebook does YouTube 5:1. Yeah, I need to look at Facebook. I really do now. I've avoided it for a few reasons, but I really do. I missed what I was saying about content. You know, great content isn't any of this. This makes my life easier now, and that was the equipment, you know, and there's a point where I'm able to do things a lot easier, and I'm at that stage now, and I've got things how I want them to be, because at the end of the day, you've got to be happy in what you're doing, and I'm still not happy. I'm still not happy of how the lighting levels are in the room. The lighting levels are not right. You know, I can jack all the lights up, and it, you know, I can, you know, if I go here, sorry, I'm in my skivvies, you know, I can jack, everything's probably a bit overexposed now because I haven't readjusted the camera. I can turn the main light on, and to me, it just looks a mess. So I'm looking at the monitor. So I have a habit of doing that. I got the monitor there. So I'm just looking. You know, you can see the mess and the you know, I prefer, there's a look I had in my head for the channel, and it's not quite there yet. I'm changing these lamps out for whiteys as well. They're yellows and they need to go whites. Yeah, this is better now. This is, so what you've got is me under key lights here. You've got two key lights. I've got basics. It's the Godox SL60, and I've just got a tungsten fluorescent thing over there, basically. And then I've got some lighting up here, which is obviously then above the GH5, which is there. And then obviously you've got the computer behind me. I think overall I've got the look at where I want it. You know, at the end of the day, you've got to be happy with. There is no right or wrong. You know, at the end of the day, what matters is what I'm talking about on the engaging content. The background, you know, the users don't care about that. No one cares about what's behind me. You know. Just had a hair light. I got no hair. I got no hair. Evening, how are you doing, fella? Camera microphones make the viewing experience far more desirable. It does, and that is the point. Yeah, that is absolutely, mate. Lighting was better before. Yeah, this is, we're getting it. And lighting is so difficult. Those of us who play with it, it really is. Getting it right is extremely difficult. You know, it's a constant evolution. It is honestly a constant evolution. And there's Bruce. Oh, it's brilliant. Overall set looks nice. Plenty to look at. Viewers keep it. Yeah, and that's what I've been trying to do. You know, you got. I watched your video earlier, and I like the blue background. I like that a lot. I really do like that a lot. It's looking very nice. Your new one is looking very nice indeed. As you say, but the community, we have great folks tune up. Yeah, and that's the thing. And you know, we all want different things from this at the end of the day. And you know, you can hunt for subscribers. You can hunt for you can want to be famous, you can want to be this. Really, the key for me, and it's always been the key, is to help someone with a problem. And that's why I have always been as active as I have been on forums. That, you know, I have over 36,000 comments on RC groups. That's posts. I have over 30. It is, let me just check. It is over 30,000. Just to give you an idea of how active I have been on groups over the years. You know, I have been around. Actually, I'll have to bring it up on the computer, which would be interesting. It's over 30k. I think it's either 36 or 37,000. Here is overrated. So what was he saying about here? I just want to see what Ash was saying. One for me. Lighting was better before, do it easier on the eyes. Just had a hair light above and behind you makes a nice difference. Yeah, so you're saying coming off the shoulders. So one there, Ash, just coming this way. You often see it, don't you? If you watch Gerald and Dunn, I'm a big fan of the camera channels, a massive fan of the camera channels. And Gerald and Dunn, you'll always see a key light here. Generally, with Gerald, it's always in that corner. Yeah, he's always got a key light here, looking back that way. And as you say, it's the hair light. Probably need one more, as Ash says. My problem is I've got a big bull patch, so I have to be careful, because any lights I put above me, trust me, you will see them. Thanks, man. So many weight backdrop, the difference, not to copy both chief. That's unique. That makes a memorable. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I rebuilt this last year. It's an ongoing. It's a tip at the moment. You know, no word of a lie. It is a tip. This isn't laid out. This is just tip. You know, this is here because I've been messing around with it. There's a half a drone there because I've been messing around with it. The printer in the corner, when it's tidy, it's a lot nicer. Hence all of this here as well, because I've been messing about. Wear a hat. Having an unfortunate haircut. Yeah, Ash still has hair. This is my problem. Ash is one of these people that A, looks good for his age, looks like his age, and still retained his hair. The rest of us are losing it at every opportunity. Ash is the kind of guy you love to hate because of that. It's the fact he doesn't live in the UK, I reckon it is. But no, I watched the video earlier, mate, and yeah, like the set, looked good. It did look good. It's funny actually. It's a comment I said earlier. It's an interesting time. There's quite a few. And yeah, this is my workplace. You know, there's a lot of Brits in the drone industry right now, and it's quite interesting. There's a lot going on. For a pod. For the skin. He's editing it out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not making any comments on that at all. Yeah, the only editing out you want to do with this is this. That's the editing out you want to do with this. What I should do is you can do a person removal in Resolve and replace myself. I was tempted to do that. I never, interesting, if you look back at my early videos, I never went on camera. I never went on camera for over 2 years, 3 years even. It might have been 3 years. I didn't go on camera for 3 years. I'm Mr. Hands. I was known as Mr. Hands for a long time. You know, if you look at all my early videos, it's all hands. It's quite funny. It's quite funny, actually. It's quite a cool story. I got into an argument, and I can't remember if you saw this, Mark. I got into an argument on Facebook the other day. Someone posted one of my videos, and I like doing this. So I'm just getting my control back up for Stream Deck. It's really good. You've got an app you can control your Stream Deck with. You've got to pay for it each month, which is frustrating, but it's really handy. I'm going to move the Stream Deck to here anyway. Anyway, someone posted one of my videos. It was the Inspire 2 firmware update video on the commercial drone pilots group in the UK. And someone posted it, and I always do this. If someone posts one of my videos, I put an abusive comment on it. It's something I've enjoyed doing. Oh my God, look at that moron. I cannot believe... I normally put something on the lines of, oh my God, Andy is a very good channel as well. Yeah, he really is. Yeah, and I just put, I can't, oh my God, look at the guy's got a face for radio, and what's the crack with that whiny voice, and why does he keep moving his hands around all the time? And I then got into an argument with a guy who was defending me on the video and having a go at me for having a go at me, if you get my drift. It's quite funny. It's not the first time I've done it. I do it all the time. I just find it quite funny doing it. I tell you what I do need to do. I need to find out a way with the ATEM of putting the, I can put myself up. I can do that. But what would be nice is, what I need to do is do it in OBS, is to keep the comments up at the side. Andy RC didn't do on camera for years, but his channel has been there since he did. A lovely guy, great instant presence. He is a good, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a difference with these guys. These guys have skill. Ash, many, as I said, you probably missed this earlier. The amount of takes it takes for me to get a video done is ridiculous. It's way too many. It's insane at times, and that's because I don't script anything at all. You probably have worked that out already watching my content, but everything I do is unscripted. I don't have any stats. I don't have everything I'm talking about. I know about. The only thing I do now and again is just put some key points up on something like that, which is over there usually, and it's normally the things I need to remember to talk about. But because I'm not scripting it, that means I'm always messing things up continuously. I'll say strange things. I'll get things wrong, and at days it is so frustrating. It's ridiculous. It really is. You're not alone there. You'll see my outtakes soon. Scripted. Yeah, I did at one point try it. I'll be honest. I'd love to. I just don't have the time to write it. I think it would work if I did one video a week. I wrote the video on Monday to Thursday, ran it on the Friday, edit it on the weekend, put that out next week. But I'm not that organized, frankly. I see something happen I know about, or I've been involved, or something I've talked about before, and I just sit down and make a video about it. And that's the idea with this, is to make life a little bit easier. Anyway, I've got into ranting stages. If there is any questions, guys, while I am ranting away, please do let me know. Tonight was just a random stream. It really was. Wait till you see my new video. It's spotting the joke time. Nice. Yeah, so I don't script. It all comes from most of just what's in there and what I've read. I'm no expert. I'm an idiot more than anyone. I do understand this sort of stuff fairly easy. No, don't do it. Nah, don't worry. Look, it's funny actually. Whose comments was I reading today? Let me just remember on this. It was someone talking about on Twitter, and it was a creator talking about hateful comments they get. That's right. Sorry, it was Mr. MPW. I watched the video yesterday talking about the comments on his channel, and I commented on it. And it is hard. We've all had them. Especially when you look like this, you get them. But you just have to be willing to say, well, look, that's an opinion. If you don't like it, don't subscribe. You can always fuck off. That's the basics. This channel is a bit more looser, so I can say things like that. And that's the basic reality of it. He's getting hate, and it's only because he's got some very nice gear. He really has, or access to some very nice gear. But yeah, and I think you can't worry about it. I have one thing I'm terrible for, other than being terrible, and it's my breathing, and it's something I do want to work on. Actually, I did it then. I don't know if you heard it. I breathe heavily through my mouth. Now there is a reason for it, because I don't breathe well through my nose passage and my sinuses. It's an issue I've had for many, many years. And over the years, I've actually trained myself to breathe predominantly through my mouth. And it's just something, I don't breathe like most normal people would now. It's just as a result of the issues I've had over the years. But as a result, I have a habit of doing this big intake between talking. I did it then. I do it so much, I don't know I'm doing it. And that's part of the problem. And something I need to do on the channel is rectify that as well. I need to learn to do it better. Because if you hear a lot of my videos, and I can even see it in the edits, when I'm editing, I did it then. I know I did it, but I can't stop doing it. You have to breathe or I'll hit the deck. But I need to learn to do it better. If I breathe through my nose, I make a huge amount of noise. When I breathe through my mouth, you get this gasping noise. So what I've got to learn to do is what I did then, which is take in air quietly and not give you guys this all of the time. Now, I don't know if you can hear it on this mic. You can a lot of the time. And I see it in the edits. And those of you who edit videos, and you probably, Ash, know what I mean, you pick up all of your own issues instantly. And in the early days, I used to edit them out. I used to go through the videos and edit out all the bits. I'm too lazy to do it now, but it is something I also need to work on. and I'm, you know, when I'm conscious of it, I try to stop it. But some of my videos are terrible, absolutely terrible. You hear it back and it's, yeah. Sorry, I'm not reading the comments. Let me just catch up. Let's have a look. Duck down. Getting these. Any people nervous as a chopper? They are. Scripts are a pain. They are. Some also send it downvotes, negative comments, but honestly ignore it. It's interesting. Yeah, it does. Yeah, plus and minus. I've got one person, right, who downvotes every video of mine. I think it's Bruce. Far too hard on yourself. You spent the last 10 minutes criticizing yourself. Stop it. You're good at what you do. Oh, thank you for that, Ash. No, I am super critical. That is one of my traits in my real life as well, you know. Don't worry. Comments. Ash said, thank you for that. And let's read it all. But yeah, you're right. During nerd it, you notice all your tendencies, but over time you naturally avoid it. Yeah, you do. And that it's funny because in the edit, you become hypersensitive to seeing them as well. Yeah, you do. What I've got to learn to do is not gasp. My problem is I verbally vomit, and then I verbally vomit back in. Well, breathe vomit back in, and then verbally vomit out. Dirty phone calls as a kid, yeah. Yes, sir. So anyway, that's my counselling session over. Join on camera, Cody looks good. Love you too, by the way. Yeah. Now today, this is one of the reasons I'm live streaming tonight. Ash, is I've done a lot of changes. Traditionally, there's the breathe. I'm watching myself doing it now. Okay, I'm gonna ignore it. Traditionally, I've recorded my content on the channel with a GH5, which is this one here. Its battery's gone, shock horror! The battery's gone flat on the GH5. Anyway, traditionally, it was always recorded on the GH5. 12-60, f2.8 to 4 Leica. Was always very happy with it. This camera is the Sony a6400 with the 18-105G lens. Was really relegated to my live streaming camera because I just couldn't get it set up right. Anyway, all of my footage was always on the SD card, edited in Resolve, put out. Complete pain in the ass to do. So as all of this has moved around, I spent a lot of time. Now tonight, this is on the Sony. We're on the a6400, and I have individually tuned the picture profile 4 to how I like it. This is connected into an ATM Mini. So the A10 Mini, 1080p 60. This camera is in 4K mode because that gives the best overall resolution. Then it's into OBS via the ATM Mini because I've got the Mini, not the Mini Pro. The Pro allows you to stream direct, which I haven't got. This is in the ATM Mini. I have then retweaked OBS as well into the PC. So it is the A10 Mini acts as a webcam interface for you. So you don't need to use a streaming card. Now, I do have a HD60 Pro and a HD60S because that's what I used before. So there's my HD60S and the HD60 Pro is in the PC. And I'm not using that at the moment. But, and here's the but, I may try, instead of using the USB link from the ATEM to the PC as the webcam interface, which is using, I may take the HDMI out from the ATEM and go into the HD60 direct. And the reason I'm thinking of doing that is as follows. I don't know what the bit rate is of the A10 Mini USB. I know the HD60 Pro will do 60 megabits a second. You should see my pants dry. But it's the A10 doing this. This is into OBS directly via the A10 Mini. I think it's looking decent. Now, this week, I have started recording my videos this way as well. So whereas before, I was recording my videos on SD card and doing the live stream this way, because I've now tweaked OBS in such a way, I'm going to try recording directly in OBS. And the reason for that is the workflow is fantastic, because there's no SD cards, there's no plugging in and unplugging a camera. It's camera to there, into the computer. When I hit stop recording here, the file is already on my hard drive. I just drag it into Resolve to edit. And I did it with a video I made last night, and it was absolutely, from a workflow point of view, I loved it. Now, my end goal, and I will just give you my end goal on this, my end resolve is to get a Ninja 5 and record the video via the HDMI output on the ATEM to the Ninja 5 and use that as my workflow. Just because you can't get the best quality with with OBS recording. It loses whatever you do, but it's fairly good. Okay, so Gary's comment, but I get down to Ash, hang on, yes. You should see myself with rank amateurs. I set up rank amateurs, hang on. Yes. I mean, I triggered him. I blame you, Ash. You triggered him. Camera gear. You'll have me talking all week. Excellent. Always welcome. Interesting strategy. I've always been tempted to record direct, but I can't pull myself away. I know, and that's been me as well. I couldn't pull myself away. Now, there is a price to pay. You will, if you record direct in OBS, it takes a lot of tweaking, and I've tweaked it this week, and the video I'm going to be putting out Monday or Tuesday is done on it, but that isn't even fully tweaked. I've tweaked it beyond that, and the next video hopefully will be. But there are some payoffs. You cannot get the crisp detail you can get out of Card Direct, 100%, 100%. But the goal to solve it all will be a Ninja 5. That's my goal. And a Ninja 5 on the ATEM. And that then will be all of this onto SSD, plug it in. And what I will probably then do is simply have a permanent USB cable to the Ninja 5. So, you started it, Ash. Your fault. Thank you, guys. Anyway, that's it. It's been a long one. I've explained this all now. This was only setting up. I appreciate all the kind comments, guys. I'm just catching up through. I really do. As I said, tonight was just loose, just to check the stream actually works. That was the big one. I'm going to watch it back after. I just want to have a look how it all looks. We fixed the autopilot, which is good. So to summarize up, as they say, it was on the wrong connection. There are some firmware quirks with the Nora, though, still. That is for sure. That is definitely for sure. And you know what? It is. It is getting late. I was going to record a video tonight as well. Haven't done that. Hopefully, my new thing will be here tomorrow, and the new audio will be up and running, and we'll get that for the other stuff as well. That is it. I would like to thank you all for spending a little bit of time with me on a Friday night. It wasn't intentional. It is a random stream. I am going to be doing more random ones over the next few weeks as well. We're going to be getting the oscilloscope out this week. I'm going to try not to kill myself having a look at a mains power supply. That's going to be fun. Anyway, guys, we've done. For those of you who stuck with me, thank you for watching. If you're not a subscriber, just getting the shilling in place, please do consider hitting that button. This isn't my main channel. This is my live one. I hope you all are well. Gary, I'm expecting a slice of your wedding cake anytime soon. See what I did there? Happy birthday, Mr. Mortimer. I wish you all the very best. I hope you have a fantastic one. Wherever everyone else is, please stay safe in the world out there at the moment. It's all a bit mad. It's all getting a bit crazy. It really is. I've got to stop looking at myself in the monitor. Keep doing that. I'm going to have to start turning that off. Gary, you can take the mickey out of me Tuesday for talking all of this nonsense. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thank you very much. Stay safe. And I'm going to go now and find the button. So I'm going to show you. This is how you end a live stream on YouTube, guys. You go over to here. You got to go to here. You got to go over to this here. You got to click, do I want to end the stream? Yes. And then you click the end button. So good evening, stay safe. I will speak to you guys again soon.